Oh, hey guys, it's Drew Fisher with a quick history lesson for you. The number one question I get from realtors and clients alike is, Drew, when are rates going to go down? And the long story is, I don't know. But what I always like to do is look at history and look for patterns in the past and kind of see what's happened in the past. And so we can kind of hopefully predict the future. So if we go back in time to other times of high inflation, under Volcker, who was Fed chair in the late 70s, early 80s, inflation went from 7% all the way up to 14%. Now, when that happened, mortgage rates went from 12% to 18%. Now, what the Fed did in the early 80s, they actually took the Fed funds rate from 11% all the way up to 20%. And inflation response, inflation went from 14% all the way back down to 5%. And then interest rates went back from 18% down to 12%. So you can kind of see a pattern here. High inflation, rates go up, Fed jumps the Fed funds rate, inflation goes down, mortgage rates go down. Now, Alan Greenspan, same thing happened under his tenure. Inflation went from 1.75% to 3.5%. Mortgage rates went from 7% to 8.5%. And then the Fed funds rate went from 4.75 up to 6.5%. And again, inflation response went from 3.5% all the way down to 1%. And then we saw mortgage rates go from 8.5% to 5.5%. Now, this time around, Jerome Powell, Fed chair, we had inflation as low as 1.5%. It actually peaked out in June of this year, 2022, to 9.1%. We saw mortgage rates go from a low of 2.625% all the way up to 6.25%. Now, the Fed, in response, they actually raised interest rates from 0 up to 2.5%. And inflation response so far, we don't know yet, but we did see inflation actually come down in July from the peak of June down to 8.5%. So if history can be a teacher, we do think rates will come down as inflation comes down. And hopefully that's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months. But stay tuned, and believe me, we will let you know the second that interest rates dip significantly. But there is hope based on the history of interest rates and inflation that we are going to see some rates come down. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks so much.